So, today we're taking on the messy streets of Schedule 1, a game about selling illegal stuff and scaling up your operation to grow a massive empire. Except we're going to be limited to only running our operation out of this rundown motel room. Will we be able to grow our empire across all of Highland Point, or will the confines of our glorified garden shed simply be too small for our ambitions? Let's find out. So day one starts in the RV that we totally didn't just run from the police in. I noticed our plants were a bit parched, so we grabbed the watering can, fill it up, and wait for these bad boys to grow. While we wait, I headed to the nearest payphone to have a word with our now imprisoned uncle. He let me know that there were 3 hidden stashes full of money that I could use to get on my feet. The first one was close by with $80 in it. Only $80? Uncle Nelson, you broke bitch. The second one was behind the supermarket, and that one had $175 in it. Now we're talking, dude. Before grabbing the third stash, I found this baseball bat and started removing the cash from the ATMs and vending machines. There was just too much in there. I had to empty it. After getting overly distracted by that, I remembered I had product growing back at the RV that needed to be harvested. I knew I was going to set up shop somewhere in town, so I decided to go ahead and grab all my equipment and package up our new product so we can sell it on the streets. Once I was done, I remembered I still had that third stash of cash to go pick up. Oh, and just like that, we were homeless. Our RV was gone, and the ones who did it left this note behind. Thank goodness we grabbed all of our stuff beforehand. I didn't have much time to hang around because our clingy uncle was calling me at the payphone again. He let me know that there was a motel nearby that I could set up shop in. So I robbed this ATM, and then I spoke to Donna at the front desk, paid $75 to rent the room, and started getting the operation back up and going again. With everything ready to go, I realized that I had none of the supplies needed to grow more product. So I headed down to the hardware store to buy some supplies and chop it up with my boy Dan. After literally telling him that I'm a drug dealer, I headed back to the motel to get to work, only to realize that I had no seeds to plant. That's when, you guessed it, Uncle Nelson hit us up on the payphone again. He got us in contact with a supplier who could provide us with OG Kush seeds to get this operation going. I went ahead and did a bulk order of 9 seeds, and he said it'd be ready in 4.5 hours, so we had some time to kill. I decided to use that time to acquire some new customers, and of course I went straight to Donna, who just rented us this motel room. Before I could close the deal, the feds were already on me. They caught me red-handed, but there's no way I was getting locked up this soon. So of course I ran. I hid in the woods until the coast was clear and continued on trying to get some new customers. Once we had the local population addicted to our grass, we got a text from our supplier saying that the dead drop of OG Kush seeds was ready to be picked up. So I grabbed the seeds, ran back to the motel, and planted one as fast as I could. That's when I realized that I needed to list our product for sale online so we could get even more orders from our customers. And after a long day of work, I finally laid down to get some rest because day 2 was about to get crazy. The first thing I needed to do was head down and visit our guy Dan. We were waiting to receive our first online order, so in the meantime, I decided to get some work done. So I bought the supplies that we needed and headed back home. Trash can was getting a bit full, so taking that out was the first order of business. Kobe, never mind, the lid was closed. After that, I needed to get the rest of our product baggied up and ready to sell. That's when I finally got a text for our first online order, and it was none other than our good friend Kyle. You see, Kyle works at the Taco Ticklers, and he is one of our most loyal customers. So of course, I scheduled the deal for as soon as possible and continued on with some of the work while I waited. And by work, I mean selling drugs to Geraldine down by the water. After a while, it was time for the deal to go down, and we made our first official sale of an online order, the first of many. On our way back home, we made another sale to our good friend Peter, and we only needed one more to move on. So while I waited, I emptied out all the ATMs and vending machines around town until Ludwig shot me a text asking to make a deal. We met up with him shortly after, made the sale, and then of course needed to speak with our imprisoned uncle once again. He told us that there was a room for sale above the Chinese restaurant and that we could move in for only $800. I was pretty happy with our humble little motel setup, but I decided to see what the room was all about. After purchasing the property from Miss Ming and going upstairs to have a look, I realized that this place was not as low profile as the motel and wouldn't be suitable for our needs. Once I was done there, Uncle Nelson needed to talk to us again. He is so clingy. He told us that we would need to get in contact with a dealer to expand our operation, but in order to do that, we would need to to make a few more deals to make certain customers happy. That's when I got a text from Ludwig and we set up a deal with him right away. I got him the product as fast as possible, hoping it would be enough for him to put in a good word for us, and it worked like a charm. So now that Benji was expecting us, I decided to pay him a visit and see if I could get him to come work for me. He wanted $500 up front and a 20% cut of each sale. This is chump change compared to what we'll be making in the future, so I felt like it was a good investment. Now that we had a dealer, I needed to supply him with some product to sell, so I gave him 10 baggies of the OG Kush, assigned some customers to him, and waited for him to make his first sale. In the meantime, I kept our operation going by planting more weed, paying off our debt to Albert so he doesn't send a bounty hunter after me, and emptying out the vending machines without getting caught. Never mind. I decided to lay low for a little bit so I didn't draw any more unnecessary attention to myself, and by that I mean removing more cash from ATMs and vending machines. That's when I realized that Benji had finally made a sale and we were on our way to a booming business. Luckily, I was right next to a payphone, and you already know Uncle Nelson needed to talk to us. He told us about mixing our product with certain ingredients could yield even more profits with a bit of extra work. So I headed to the store, bought the mixing station, and then went down to the gas station and bought our first mixing ingredient. After that, it was time to get to work. We mixed our first strain, appropriately named Aspen Death, and of course, Uncle Nelson needed to talk to us about it. First, he told me that I needed to keep mixing until I created a strain that was worth $60 or more. Then he said I needed to visit the real estate agent, the dealership manager, and the mechanic. So I quickly paid them all a visit and grabbed another mixing ingredient on my way home. I immediately got to work making a new mix called Aspen Urkel, and that one was worth $60. Once we finished that, our new objective was to make $10,000 in total, and we were only at $2,080. So it was time to stop screwing around and get to work. I decided to set up all of my deals for late at night because I realized that there was a curfew bonus that applied to deals made after the curfew. This was definitely going to help speed up the process of making that 10 grand. After finishing a couple deals, we went to bed to end the day and unlocked a new area in town called Westville. This is good because it means we can acquire even more customers. I started handing out free samples, and of course everyone loved my product, so we were able to get a bunch of new customers. As I was heading to give another sample, I grabbed this basketball, paid my respects to Kobe, and proceeded to hit a full court game winner. It's a good thing I am a drug dealer and not in the NBA. That's when I decided to stop screwing around and really focus on making this 10K because it was taking a lot longer than I had expected. By the time the day was over, we had a little over $4,500 in total, almost halfway to our goal. So I stuck to the plan and focused on grinding it out another day. But first, I needed a way to get around town faster, so I picked up a skateboard to speed things up. As I was trying to make some sales around town, it seemed like people didn't really care for the OG Kush that I was selling anymore. So I decided to start mixing up a new strain that people would have to love. I combined OG Kush with paracetamol to get a strain called OG Dick, and then I combined the OG Dick with Viagra to get something called Bio Cheese. That strain was worth $110 per bud, and it was highly addictive. So surely this was going to help us make that 10K even faster. So I got to work growing, mixing, and selling our Bio Cheese until we finally made $10,000. And of course, you know, we had to speak to old Uncle Nelson about it. He told me that there was a secret warehouse that I can do business with like-minded individuals. So I took a short trip over there, spoke to the doorman, and he told me I needed to come back at 6 p.m. In the meantime, I made sure I had plenty of product for future sales, did some sick parkour until it was finally late enough to visit the warehouse. I needed to speak to the merchant, the arms dealer, and the fixer before I once again had to talk with Uncle Nelson. He told me it was time we started to cook some meth and that I needed to buy all of the supplies from our boy Oscar here. Now, I had already ordered some pseudo earlier from our local dealer, not knowing that I would need it in the future, but I had everything I needed to start cooking. The meth was going to take 8 hours to cook, so I went ahead and met up with all my customers to make our deals without realizing that the Bio Cheese had a Tropic Thunder effect and it was turning everyone black. I literally never realized this was happening. I went to bed after a long day and woke up to some freshly cooked meth, which we then needed to throw into the oven in order to crystallize it. In the meantime, I kept making more and more Bio Cheese while sometimes making runs to the gas station to fill up on supplies. Apparently, Jessie was really fiending and proceeded to walk circles around me until I would sell her some drugs. Once I got her off my back, I went home to see if our meth was done, and sure enough, it was. I smacked it a couple of times with a hammer, and just like that, we had some more product to sell. And yeah, that's actually it. That's the last quest in the game, and therefore we successfully beat Schedule 1 without expanding outside of the motel. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really does help me grow. Also, feel free to leave any ideas for future playthroughs down in the comments below. I absolutely love this game and want to create some fun and engaging content as we wait for more updates to come out. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.